Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the In-Groove in Phoenix, Arizona. I want to show you guys some video from my trip to the Netherlands. Unfortunately, you're going to have to listen to me talking over myself. Reason being is there was a lot of music playing at the show and YouTube flagged all of it for copyright infringement. So I'll talk over myself and kind of tell you guys what's going on. Right here, I'm complaining about how awfully cold it is, and it was freezing. I mean, really freezing for a Phoenician anyways, and partly due to that giant door you see on the right-hand side, which was just blowing in 35-degree air all day long. And me with my Arizona jacket on wasn't doing so good. I just left the first booth we set up at. That was my original booth, all the way in the back of the show. They ended up moving me later on to a much better spot, much farther away from that door. Actually, farthest away from both doors. There was a door on the north side and the south side of the building. My table ended up being in the middle. So this is shortly after I went to the money exchange and got some euros. I told you guys in a previous video that my money guy fell through, and I was a guy I normally meet there and do some currency exchange with. He's an American buyer from Europe, and I am buying European goods from America, so we exchange currencies. I think I noticed the George Benson record there. Yes, had to point that out. Looking around, this is again dealer setup day. Oh, hot dog car off to the right there sold some amazing hot dogs with 4 ingredients. I had no clue what any of them were, but I said throw them all on, and they were all fantastic. But look at these wall records. What do we got on the wall? We got some Motorhead, some jazz. There's a Soul Station over there. I mean, trying to take a look with you guys. I think I'm digging through the Pink Floyd section there. Yeah, so with these shows, you really got to dig. Not everything is affordable. Most things are not, but you will find decent things every now and then worth owning, either for yourself or, in my case, for the store. But one of the most impressive things you'll find about this trip around the show is the caliber of high-end records in the show. There's a lot of junk. There's a lot of stuff that's overpriced. But if you look at the walls on some of these shows, it's pretty wicked. I'm trying to get a gauge there. That's a great Brazilian record on the bottom left. Maria Fumac. But, it's got a lot of decent amount of jazz. Oh, I noticed this Dark Side of the Moon. Actually, this was one of the Dark Side of the Moons that I had purchased. Oddly enough, he had 2. One was twice the price of the other. The first copy, I think this is the one I'm looking at, I didn't buy. I think I ended up buying the second copy. I don't know if it was now or a little bit later on. But the second copy had the first cover, which was the bluish cover, and he wanted like twice the price. And the vinyl wasn't as, clean. The second copy, it had cleaner vinyl, and same A2B2 stamper, but it was half the price. So I bought the cheaper one. I was more concerned about a good sounding audio piece versus, a little bit more collectible with the bluish cover. So yeah, I think I'm looking at the copy I didn't buy. We'll know here momentarily together. But I've got 2 of them lined up. But this is the coolest thing. This is one dealer. We got 2 A2B2 Dark Side of the Moons, and hundreds and hundreds of more dealers to go. Some things are really bizarre. You see all these high caliber pieces, and then you'll see something that in the States wouldn't really be that good, and you'll see that on their wall as well. That's always really bizarre. So let me see here. Checking out more Dark Side of the Moons. I want to say I maybe looked at, I'd have to go back and watch all the videos, but I would say I went over 20, 30 A2B2 Dark Side of the Moons at this show. I mean, you would find them anywhere from a couple hundred euros, relatively roached copies, to 5,000 euros, pristine copy, but a guy trying to get, you know, stratospheric money for it. Those jazz records there, you know, but you look at these Blue Notes, the Soul Station, the Jazz Messengers, Art Blakey record on the wall. The money that they want for those kind of records is just mind-boggling expensive, you know. But that's over there, they're rare and they're desirable. Not that they're not rare and desirable, but here, everybody wants Blue Notes all over the world. But this is where they originate from. He is showing me, now this particular guy actually watches the YouTube channel, so he was showing me kind of stuff that he thought I'd be interested in. This was a UHQR of Sgt. Pepper. It had some box damage. You know, vinyl was fine, but you could see the damage on the corner of the box. You know, split corners. The printing was odd on this as well. It was faded, probably sat in the sun for a long period of time. I think I was telling him here about my story. When I opened up the store, and I think I talked to you guys about this quite a few times, just before I opened the store, I bought a collection of 100 sealed UHQRs and about 500 sealed Mobile Fidelity records. 4 Sgt. Pepper's, 4 Dark Side of the Moons, mostly iRobots. There was maybe 40 or 50 sealed iRobots. But as time goes on, yeah, maybe 25 sealed King Crimsons, 25 sealed Dark Side of the Moons, the non-UHQRs. But as time goes on and I look back on that, it gets crazier and crazier as the years go on. But yeah, it was the catalyst for opening the store. When I had all these, I'm like, what am I going to do with all this? I need to open up a store. Because I had been accumulating stuff for years on end at that point. But yeah, let's see. So I'm pretty sure I'm buying that. That's the copy I bought, the first copy. Look at this box of American Impulse. Pretty impressive. You know, again, this is not the kind of stuff as an American you typically are going to go to the show to buy. You're going to be buying the stuff that I'm looking for. The stuff that's rare here in the United States. Again, not that this stuff is not rare everywhere, but it's carries a humongous premium over there. It's kind of unfortunate that I had to mute the video on this, but there was just a low level of music, and it just drove YouTube bananas. They were not digging it. Kind of cool how many of these Impulse titles I'm pulling out here that have been reissued. But you can see, ooh, there's a nice shot of the wall. Got Don Cherry. Fantastic. On the other side, actually, is the only other American dealers there. 45 dealer out of Las Vegas and an LP dealer out of California. They do the show with some regularity. You know, I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, because I said in the last video, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this again. But man, just looking at this video and watching it has got me reminiscent already. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to get prepped for another one. But you could see they kind of got a little bit of a hodgepodge of sorting going on here. We got a box of Impulse, and behind that is Bowie, the Beatles, and then metal and hard rock in the same box. I think this particular dealer owned a store as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a Blue Note section. Blue Note and Impulse. A lot of this stuff was like later Liberty pressings. You know, there was some original stuff. You know, because you got to think everybody brings their most premium stuff out to this show. So, in a lot of cases, the most premium stuff for these guys was a lot of the later Liberty United Artists Blue Notes. You're not going to find a lot of early. I mean, there's a Paul Chambers actually I just noticed on the wall. But there was not a, you know, you're not finding buckets of that or anything. Oh yeah, we're getting a good wall shot here. I mean, just, let's see. Don't know what that 12-inch is. Not a clue what he's showing me or he's telling me. I got hours of this video, and I might end up in the future uploading different videos. You know, I'll probably try to consolidate them down to under a half hour, like 20 to 30 minutes in that range. But this is, again, still all on dealer setup day. So the way the show works is you've got dealer setup day on Friday, and then it opens to the public for Saturday and Sunday. Now on Saturday, there's a Japanese copy of the wall over there. On Saturday, it's busy. On Sunday, a lot less traffic. Jazz at the pawn shop right in the front. Killer record, audiophile record for, audiophile demo record for years. Tough to find. But on Sunday, that's a lot less traffic, and then you're going to pick up a lot more, kind of becomes the bargain day. But I will say the one thing I noticed with this trip versus all the, the last trip, for instance, in Utrecht, is the amount of people. This was a lot lighter traffic. Now, I don't know if that was an optical illusion because this seemed to be a bigger venue. So this might have been an optical illusion to where it just seemed like there wasn't as many people. But I remember in that trip in Utrecht, man, you had a very difficult time walking through the aisles. I don't know how much video. I don't think I filmed much video on Saturday, partly because it was really busy. And there was just people everywhere. And, you did have to wait a little while to get into the people's bins. For instance, there's a couple of us standing there looking at records. But on Saturday, it would have been pretty packed. Another jazz box. What am I going through? The same box. Some 1500 series Blue Note represses. That's a stereo. I think they're going to make that as a tone poet here coming up. I thought I saw that. Donald Byrd Mustang. Alrighty, let's see what's going on here. I feel like this video that I might be uploading here for you guys is going to be all at this one dealer. This is stuff that carried a huge premium. And some of the people asked me about what did I bring to the show. That's the kind of stuff I brought, like that Grateful Dead and Shrink. I brought stuff that I felt would be desirable there. And I brought audiophile stuff. So, and actually I'll show you my booth setup. At the end of this video, I'll throw a clip in there showing you guys what I brought. Because it wasn't a lot of stuff. Because keep in mind, it was a suitcase. It's in a suitcase. So, I brought some audiophile records. And I brought the stuff that I figured would be rarer there, which it is. Like you look at these walls. I brought Grateful Dead records, Sonic records, In the Shrink, Doors, American pressings of Beatle records that are unique to America, introducing the Beatles, Jolly What, that kind of stuff. I think I brought some MC5, some soul records, a little bit of jazz records. And I brought a decent amount of audiophile stuff. The odd thing about the audiophile stuff was everybody talked about how rare the audiophile stuff is and you can't get it there. And I put it for pretty good prices. And I sold some of it, but that was the thing that I don't know if people were at this particular show are really looking for that stuff. But the older stuff did well, and I sold a good chunk of that. I think I brought some Townes Van Zandt. That didn't sell. And I brought some like metal stuff, some like clean, like a couple early Anthrax records, Megadeth records, that kind of stuff as well. I think I'm about out of this booth. Maybe we can find some other video of me walking around and checking stuff out. Oh, this could be a pretty good cliffhanger for video 2. Now you will look around. So this is one of 2 major buildings. And I don't know if you can get a gauge of the scope. I look at the ceiling. You can kind of get a gauge of how big this event actually is. I mean, it's massive. I want to say, so the booths there are around 6 by 12, kind of in that range. So a 6 by 12 booth, and I want to say there's 600 tables. That is a massive, massive, massive quantity of records. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Thinking about that hot dog. That was some hot dog. Still don't have a clue what was on it. A lot of mayonnaise-based toppings and some other stuff. Big fans of mayo in the Netherlands. I remember when I first went there a while back, you'd see all these fry stands and people eating fries, and you see this big mound of white stuff on top of it. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world are they? Ooh, look, there's the cover for the European UK, or the European kind of blue. They had an alternate cover than we did here in the US with the Columbia. But I remember thinking to myself, what is this mound? Just absolute mound of white stuff sitting in the middle of these French fries. It's mayonnaise. They don't need ketchup on their French fries. They eat massive globs of mayonnaise. Oddly enough, the Dutch are the most skinniest people. You very seldomly will find anybody that's probably over 150 pounds, but they sure do pound down the mayonnaise with the French fries. This is nice. I think I pulled out one. I pulled another Dark Side of the Moon. Wish You Were Here in the Shrink. Boy, that is getting much more difficult to find. All right, yep. Got a stack of euros there. Bust out some hundies. What did I pay for this copy? Maybe it was $500, $400. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, almost gave me a tip. 400 euros. Like I said, that was a pretty good score. The other copy was twice the price, and I felt like this was better of the two copies. Get a little glimpse. So yeah, look at the car there in the middle. So the place is so massive, you can see the size of the room. The dealers in the morning, they all drive in and set up right out of the back of their vehicle. But look at the quantity of records here. I mean, this really is Mecca. I went with my buddy Johnny D, who you saw at the beginning of the video, and this was such a big thing for him. This was a bucket list item for him. That's why he wanted to go to this. So we've got 2 rooms this size, and then there's like a smaller room that sits in the middle. Let's see, on their wall, we got some Vertigo Sabbath, UK Pistols, Gretchen Monclure, Blue Note, all the way to the left. Let's see. I think there was a guy coming up here that had just the most killer avant-garde free jazz American pressings hanging on the wall. I was just blown away. Not only that he had that quantity of stuff, but it was all in the Netherlands. Let's see, Iggy and the Stooges, Pearl Jam, some Vertigo, Sabbath. Probably what I'm looking at there. But like I say, the prices are they're all over the map. But there's quantity there. You'll find a guy selling the same record for 100 euros or 1,000 euros. So you definitely got to dig carefully. So these boxes, I want to say, on the end were like 5 euros a piece or something along those lines. And, there was some decent stuff in there. But it was pretty roached. Like there was a nice roached mono stones. I think I did end up buying maybe a copy of The Wall. But like I said in my previous videos, that a lot of the stuff that I would have bought just wasn't at this show because the Brits weren't really here. So, you'll find, even when you go shopping around in different cities and countries in Europe, you'll still find the British pressings because, there's a 4.5-hour car ride away from London, I believe, or at least the border of the United Kingdom. So you'll find, it's in close proximity. That stuff is there. But it's not the same as when you see the size of these booths. Some of the dealers that were there in the past, the British dealers, they set up 4 of these booths. You would just find killer Prague British pressings. Killer stuff. Let's see. So these, so I think these guys, you know, they didn't have a wall set up on, so they didn't have any of the really like high dollar records, but they had a lot of like 10, 20, $30, €30 stuff. Let's see. I think this is, I'm almost positive. I only bought a couple copies of the wall. This was a pretty solid deal. This was a UK first pressing, rounded corner sleeves. And I think it was labeled, actually I think I'm looking inside here to see the credits. I think it was a first pressing. And it was in really solid shape, and it was €20. Like, you know, that's, God, any copy of this record pretty much in decent shape is $50, you know, American dollars now. So €20, this was a buy. But it is a far contrast. Walking through this show, I was aggressively looking to buy stuff. And I remember when I went in 2015, I was having to stop myself from buying stuff because there was so much there to buy and just there wasn't nearly enough suitcase space. So, I mean, the show was, oh, I didn't even notice that Zeppelin she's stuffing back in there. Let's see. That looks pretty glossy, but I'm guessing it wasn't in great shape because I don't believe I bought it. So this, what did I buy? The one record. And I actually met some people that I knew. Oh, I guess I did notice that Led Zeppelin. Is that Red Label? Maybe Canadian? I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's like a box of Pink Floyd and Doors. But, you know, a lot of this stuff at this table was just absolutely trashed. I think it's some future videos, and I will upload some more. I had a good time rewatching this footage. The videos of me walking around are pretty good, especially later in the show when everybody's set up. Because a lot of the guys' wall stuff, the premium records, weren't set up. Because what they would do is they would come, they'd set up their boxes, then they would just leave, or they would go shopping, so they weren't at their table. So you end up, they take their higher end stuff, and they don't obviously set it up. So come Saturday, though, they're at their table, they're there to sell. That's when the most amount of people are there. So all the wall records are just there in full force. What do we got there? Just a regular copy of Rumors. I think as many good records as these folks had and the prices were really good, I think we just had some condition issues. I'm pretty sure most of this stuff was pretty rough. Let's see. Too bad I can't really see the prices on this stuff. Abbey Road, unfortunately an album, so many quiet parts in it. Finding a really clean copy of that, even if it looks clean, it's very difficult to find a copy of that record that's not noisy. Alrighty, let me give them my €20 and get out of there. Let me throw in a clip again, like I said, of the final table. And actually, this was probably filmed on Saturday, but I don't really remember. I only got a little bit of video of me and Johnny at the table. We actually rented a half table, but because they moved us and they had a little extra space, they gave us the full table. So we're a little bit spread out. But yeah, we brought Johnny brought an an Arizona flag, and this was Johnny's setup here. He essentially brought like $40,000 or $50,000 worth of the best. He bought a collection recently of the best Arizona 45s, and essentially he just put, like, you know, all the 45s that he has towards him in the back. They're all like $500 to $1,000 a piece, and it was kind of cool because people would come up and they would be like, I'm looking for this. And he'd pull out just stuff that, even owning a record store, I've never seen in the wild, never comes in the store. A lot of this stuff, 4, 5, 6 copies might be known to exist. The Servicemen record that I reissued, the Ham, Hocks, and Beans record that I did with Johnny in the front there. And then you can see that's the audiophile stuff. I brought some out of print Mobile Fidelity. I brought a stack of the Wild Times. And it's, the audiophile stuff sold okay. But the stuff that really ended up selling well was, the original pressings. That's what did well at this show. I had some folks and whatnot that, like, these people actually showed up and they watched the channel as well. Those kind of folks that knew me from YouTube knew I had an audiophile focus. They were actually the ones who seemed to be buying the audiophile stuff. But the average show person wasn't there for that. They were there for, vintage stuff. But that's the end of this video. I'll upload another installment, guys. Check us out online, theingroove.com. Until next time.